On this day, January 2nd, a new chapter in technology history began. On January 2nd, 1839, humanity witnessed the first practical method of capturing real images using light itself. This moment marked the beginning of photography as we know it. Today on TimeShift Tech, we explore what happened in technology on January 2nd, 1839, the emergence of the Daguerreotype, the world's first practical photographic process. Before photography, capturing reality required a tremendous amount of skill, time, and personal interpretation. Paintings, intricate sketches, and detailed engravings were the only ways to record people, places, and significant events. Think about it. Every portrait, every landscape, every historical scene had to be filtered through the hands and eyes of an artist. These methods were painstakingly slow, often incredibly expensive, and always subjective. Two different artists could paint the very same scene and produce completely different results, each with its own style, mood, and focus. There was simply no way to freeze a real moment in time exactly as it appeared to the naked eye. The world was a constant stream of fleeting moments, lost forever once they passed. For centuries, scientists and inventors had dreamed of a method to let light itself create a permanent image, a picture drawn not by human hands but by nature itself, free from interpretation and artistic license. This dream wasn't just an artistic fantasy. It was a growing necessity. The industrial age was gaining momentum, and with it came a powerful demand for accuracy and precision. Governments needed indisputable records of land, infrastructure, and official documents. Scientists, from astronomers to botanists, required precise visual observations that could be studied and shared without ambiguity. Society as a whole developed a hunger for truthful documentation of people and distant places. The world was getting smaller, and people wanted to see it for themselves. Devices like the camera obscura, which could project a live image onto a surface, had been known for centuries. But they were like ghosts. They could show you an image, but they couldn't make it stay. The challenge wasn't optical. It was chemical. The great puzzle was finding a substance, a process, a magical combination that could make light leave a lasting, indelible trace. Solving this problem wouldn't just create a new art form. It would fundamentally change communication, science, and how history itself was recorded forever. Then, in early January 1839, the world received an answer. French inventor and artist Louis Daguerre publicly revealed his groundbreaking photographic process. He called it the Daguerreotype. This invention was the culmination of years of tireless experimentation, building upon the earlier work of his partner, Nicephore Niepce. The process itself was a marvel of chemistry and craftsmanship. It began with a copper plate, meticulously polished and coated with a thin layer of silver, creating a mirror-like surface. This plate was then taken into a darkroom and exposed to iodine and bromine fumes. This chemical treatment made the silver surface incredibly sensitive to light. The prepared plate was then placed inside a camera obscura and pointed at the subject. The exposure time could range from a few seconds in bright sunlight to several minutes indoors. During this time, light from the scene would strike the plate, creating a latent, invisible image. To reveal this hidden picture, the plate was then developed over a container of heated mercury. The mercury vapor would adhere to the parts of the plate that had been exposed to light, bringing the image to life with astonishing detail. Finally, the image was fixed using a chemical solution, typically salt water or hypo, to wash away the unexposed silver iodide and make the image permanent, preventing it from darkening further when exposed to light. For the very first time in history, a machine could capture reality with an almost magical precision. Every tiny detail, every subtle texture, was frozen in time on a shimmering silver surface. Each daguerreotype was a one-of-a-kind object, a direct positive image with no negative. This meant there were no copies. Each one was a unique, irreplaceable artifact. The news of Daguerre's invention spread like wildfire, and the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. People were utterly mesmerized. It seemed like a form of natural magic. The French government, recognizing the monumental importance of this discovery, took an extraordinary step. Instead of letting it become a private, patented technology, they acquired the rights from Daguerre and made the process a gift, freely available to the entire world. This act of scientific generosity democratized the technology almost instantly. Portrait studios began appearing with astonishing speed, first in Paris, then across Europe and the United States. For the first time in history, having your portrait made was no longer a luxury reserved for the wealthy who could afford to commission a painter. Ordinary people, the middle class, merchants, families could now have astonishingly accurate, lifelike images of themselves and their loved ones. These weren't interpretations. They were authentic records of a person's face. Within a year, photography shifted from a curious scientific experiment into a global technology, a booming industry, and a cultural phenomenon that changed how people saw themselves and the world. The Daguerreotype was more than just the first photograph. It was the seed from which all modern imaging technology has grown. Its invention set off a chain reaction of innovation that continues to this day. The initial process was quickly refined and replaced by more practical methods that allowed for multiple copies, like the calotype, which introduced the concept of a negative. This led directly to the development of film photography, which dominated the 20th century. The desire to capture not just one moment, but many moments in sequence, gave birth to motion pictures and the entire film industry. The principles of capturing light on a sensitive surface were later translated into electronic signals, paving the way for digital cameras. Every time you take a picture with your smartphone, you are using a device whose technological lineage traces directly back to that silver-coated copper plate. The impact extends far beyond personal photos. Medical imaging, like X-rays and MR, relies on the same fundamental principle of capturing information with radiation. Satellite and space photography, which gives us images of distant galaxies from telescopes like Hubble and Webb, are the ultimate descendants of Daguerre's process. Every image captured today, from breaking news photography that shapes our understanding of current events, to the scientific images that expand our knowledge of the universe, traces its technological roots back to this pivotal moment. Photography didn't just document history. It transformed journalism, science, art, and the very nature of memory and evidence. So, let's consider an alternate reality. What if the Daguerreotype was never invented? What if Daguerre had failed? Without his breakthrough, the development of photography would have been delayed, possibly by decades. Other inventors were working on similar ideas, but Daguerre's process was the one that was practical, produced stunning results, and was freely shared with the world, creating the critical momentum. In this alternate world, our historical documentation for the 19th century would rely almost entirely on subjective, artistic interpretations. We wouldn't have those stark, honest portraits of historical figures. Scientific observation, especially in fields like astronomy, biology, and medicine, would lack the crucial element of indisputable visual proof. Imagine modern science without the ability to capture an image. Our entire visual culture would be different. Modern visual communication, from social media and online news to scientific research and entertainment, might not exist in its current image-saturated form. It's staggering to think that one specific chemical process, one invention, fundamentally changed how humanity sees and remembers itself. And that's why January 2nd, 1839, stands as a defining date in technology history. It was the moment humanity finally learned how to capture reality itself. This is TimeShift Tech, where we explore what happened in technology on this day. Because every date matters and every date marks a moment in technology history, like, share, and subscribe for more technology history on TimeShift Tech.